video. I had to get him back with some video. He. I had to hit him with that video.
Go.
Come on. Let's get it.
And we have no other than the man himself. RJ. Ochoa.
Not Ronald Jones, baby.
The man himself. Sitting here from Blocking and the Boys. Let's go.
The final word.
The final word.
Let's go. Hey.
Low key, that's a dope name, though. Blocking Boy.
They was time.
The final word.
That name goes with it. Yeah, that is the name.
The final word.
Exactly. It's kind of like it makes you want to go to them first because of that name.
Right.
Yeah. Very organized. Very good job. Good writers.
Superb staff.
Ahead on technology. They take that serious, man. We appreciate
The
it.
final word.
The final word.
The final word.
The final
The
word.
final word. Blocking
The
and
final
the Boys.
word.
Blocking.
The final word.
The final word.
The final word.
The final word. That was perfect.
Like SB Nation or Blocking the Boys, you know? It's Blocking the Boys.
The final word.
That like button, y'all. Jerry.
Smash that like button. Smash that like button.
What she said?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Hey,
The final
we gonna have
word.
to land Jerry Jones next, man. We gotta talk to Jerry.
Oh man. We got RJ. He next in.
The final word. The final word.
The final word.
Y'all turn the volume up, man. Y'all can hear that bass line just snapping.
Yeah, that bass hit.
The final word.
The final
The
word.
final word.
The final word.
The
Hey,
final
boss.
word.
Yo,
The final word.
The final word.
The
That
final
part right
word.
here,
the
you got all us saying
final
that
word.
is beastie.
Yeah. That's what I was saying.
It goes with the beat. Yeah.
It goes with the beat. The final word. The final word. All our we just sounded really good. I'm just saying we sound like the 4 heartbeats,
Boss,
5 heartbeats.
Are you live on your
The
own
final
show? Because I
word.
can't find the channel line.
I can't find it either. That's what I was looking at.
You
I mean,
should be because I'm live on mine on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm live over here. I'm trying to find
Live
Boss. I'm
over
trying to
here.
hit him up.
Hey, it's all good. I just
Let them
uploaded
wait.
it. That's what it is.
Let them
They
wait.
saying that it's sending data, but hey, it's whatever, man. We gonna still rock. Let's go. Let's go. Blocking in the Boys in the house with RJ Ochoa.
Yeah, I just wanna run it up. Can we check or something? I've been really in the field, let up, yeah. When I've been really in the field, let her rush, I let her feel. Lately, I just wanna run it up. Don't need no deals, I make the deal. Have to take it to a meal. Lately, I just wanna run it up. Yeah. Kinda check or something. Lately, I just wanna run it up.
Yoga, fire.
Count that too, count it. Lately, I just wanna run it up. Need them ones, I need them fives, need them tens, I need that change. To the safe, got blues inside. Greens and pinks, it's all the same. I still save and roll my change. Take some losses when I play, charge it to the game. I'm with L, yeah, I'm with T Black, I'm with Reverend now. I'm with Bay, yeah, I'm with Jay, yeah, I'm with Chuck and now. Still the same, not switching sides, now it's about loyalty. You switch sides off for the bag, and that's worth more to me. I mix Nike with designer, I experiment. You just rock what's on the shelf, and I'm not feeling it. Search for the one, but baby girl, it's nothing real as this. Can't trust a soul, I keep a hammer, call it to the gym. I've been really in the field, love the rush, I love the feel. Lately, I just wanna run it up.
All right, let's get our money's worth. So, Mr. RJ Ochoa, he already wrote an article 2 days ago telling us it was coming about Cowboys owner Jerry Jones seems likely to be featured in a Netflix documentary. All right, so then we got the money. We got the money amount. So, please catch us up. We want to know.
It's great to be with you guys. Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know that we can hear the Jerry Jones story enough times. Do you guys know he bought the Cowboys? He said win is the name of the game. You know, he said we will win, we must win. He fired Tom Landry. He fired Jimmy Johnson. You know, I guess hearing the story for the 400th time is a little bit better than the 399.
Oh, okay, RJ. Did I got to pass? Because I'm gonna start off positive, and y'all know, man. I'm and I mean when I say this, I'm proud of front office this year because this means a couple of things to me. RJ Big Law. This means that when we can hear this story for the 399th time. And they still ink a deal for $50 million plus. That tells you that the cash cow branding from just Jerry opening up his mouth is just phenomenal, right? And so when you think about that, they've been silent over this offseason. They haven't been throwing up players under the bus. They haven't been negotiating through the media like they've done in the past. Knowing that they can cash in this much and they're quiet, I am proud. I just want to say that real quick and go around the circle.
I mean, I feel what you're saying about that. I also feel what RJ's talking about for the 8 millionth time. Nobody wants to hear. Well, let me not say that because obviously there is some people that want to hear it because he's getting paid off of it and they're making a documentary. So some people want to hear it again. I personally don't. But hey, it doesn't matter. We're going to pay it off of this. But to your point, boss, about Cowboys, if you feel good, at least from the aspect of he's out there telling this story again, but Dallas has did stuff different this season. So I don't want to hear that story anymore, but I would probably lean more to hear it now that you went out and got a Brandon Cooks. You went out and got a Stephen Gilmore. You went out and got a defensive tackle that you haven't drafted in the first round since 91. You went out and did certain things that we haven't seen in a very long time here. If you didn't make those moves and you came out with this Netflix, a lot more people will be mad at you and don't want to hear that crap. But since you made these moves and we feel a little more positive because we haven't seen this in a while, this was the best time to do it. So once again, great move by Jerry Jones, the businessman, because he's capitalizing, in my opinion, off that great offseason. Let's slide this video in here while we're doing that.
Hey, I love being a Cowboy.
Big game, James.
Game changer.
Hey, let's have some fun. Let's have a good time, man. Let's kick it.
Hey! Stop! Hey! Come back here!
Jerry Jones, man, this is who he is, right? So this dude making money in his sleep. This proved that you can't put pressure on the man. And on top of that, every time that he comes out with these documentaries, we learn something new of Jerry, right? The very first time we learned something new of even Jason Garrett, we knew that he was fabricating all of those cuss words, but he allowed Jason Garrett to be this dude that cuss. And then we seen on the other pretty much documentary that this dude put salt on his McGriddle. So there are always things that we will uncover with Jerry Wayne Jones. And this is the storyline. It's kind of like reading the Bible over and over and over again. It's the same books, but you learn something different every time. And that's what Jerry Jones had mastermind with this thing. So shout out to Jerry. He knows how to flip a coin and make it multiple times. I heard that it's not just Netflix. It's also ESPN, Amazon, or whoever it may be, and as well as Netflix. So it's a lot of people hand that play. It may end up being more than $50 million. This is what Jerry Jones do. And I think that one time we seen, even within the confines of these documentaries, that he also had my guy, Dak Prescott, fighting to get back out there, coming back from a shoulder was kind of messed up, and he was like, nah, who told me to get out? I want to get back in there. So there are some things that we learn with these documentaries, but at the end of the day, I just want to just see us lift up that Lombardi trophy. But Jerry is Jerry. That's why he's the king of this.
All right, so here we go. Let's go now. I can't wait to do this part because, see, RJ, this part that we getting ready to do, a lot of people on my channel, they really been loving me going back and showing kind of history, right? Takes I've had in the past, how does it relate to us now? We gonna do that with you. All right, we got something that you was talking about in January, but we gonna be able to now check off the list of things that you want, and then we gonna say, did it happen? So here we go. Let's have some fun. Let's go.
Obviously, the off season is the place where you do your work. What's job number?
Real quick, this is courtesy of 105.3 The Fan, to get right.
The Fan.
Yeah, Kevin Gray, that's the president, you know, and obviously, so he's a friend of the show. The full link is in the description. I just want to say that real quick.
Yeah. One that absolutely has to get done in this off season for these Cowboys.
I think, you know, everybody uses the word aggressive and nobody like defines what that means. But I want to see them be aggressive. And by that, I mean both in the here and now and for the long term. So whether you believe that's trading for DeAndre Hopkins, do it. Whether you believe that is, you know, cutting Zeke and sending a message, do it. But like pick a path and have some conviction in it.
Let's pause. Let's just stop right there. Put you right on. Let's go. Were they aggressive?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's awful listening to the sound of your own voice. So thanks for that, boss. Really appreciate it. But like I don't think that's being a homer, right? Like I think we want to like what they do all the time, right? Like we disagree with it a lot of times, and we agree with it in other instances. And so, I mean, I think all of you, you know, the Stephon Gilmore trade was like, okay, all right, respect. And actually, even before that, because the first things that happened where they brought back, you know, Donovan Wilson and Leighton Vander Esch, and I personally, I was like, all right, we're good. Like, I really don't need anything else. You know what I mean? Like, you took care of the two most important things, and then they traded for Gilmore, and it was like, holy crap, you know, you win another level on this. And then the Gilmore, or the Cooks trade, excuse me, I don't know if y'all remembered, it was like a Sunday morning. I was actually, while I was talking about the Bible, I was getting ready to leave for church. And I was like, man, the gall of these guys to do this on a Sunday morning and flip my life upside down. Yeah, I mean, like, you can say you wished it was DeAndre or you're whatever, or you wished it was this. Like, they didn't sell out. They did some smart, methodical things. They brought in guys who are leaders, guys who have been there, who have done that. It really was kind of the best of both worlds. They cut Zeke, and none of us are happy, you know, that Zeke's a free agent. I think we all have a lot of special memories thanks to Zeke, but, you know, I do think they have conviction. They're acting like a team with conviction, which is what I cared about the most.
Yeah, so big. Were they aggressive?
Hell yeah, just said it. I mean, you know me. We've been talked about this for the last 2 years about not drinking no Kool-Aid, and I ain't been jumping out. I'm not doing that. And I told you I'm not doing that no more. Not jumping out there. Just gonna be level-headed, and that's what it's gonna be. And I'm still on that level, in my opinion. But I can't honestly sit there and say that I'm not excited, that I'm not happy. And just like to RJ's point, when I didn't think they were bringing about Donovan Wilson. Okay, let's be honest. I didn't think they were bringing back Donovan Wilson. So the fact that they brought back Donovan Wilson was like, oh, okay, well maybe they might be a little serious. And then when they went out and, like you said, went out and got Gilmore. I was like, okay, now, because you're getting. I don't care if Gilmore is a little bit older. He's a bona fide player still right now. He's a bona fide player. He upgrades your defense and helps to take it to another level, which your defense is already good. And then you go out and get a speedster and Brandon Cooks, and you waited because you could have they were trying to get him the year prior, but the Texans were asking for all that money. So the Cowboys were smart, waited them out, and they got Cooks for a great deal. You get what I'm saying? So right there in itself, you get excited. Then they go in the draft. Do what they did as far as the defensive tackle. We've been crying and screaming about. Can we get a defensive tackle, please? Can we get somebody to stuff this middle? Not only did they get Mozzie, but they got Jonathan Hankins in midseason. So we were talking about that, the midseason move. So we started seeing the aggressive. Honestly, not to take up too much time.
No, you take your time.
But I started seeing the aggressiveness when Mike McCarthy came. I'm going to be honest with you. Because if we look at the 2020 season, they went out and got free agents. We got the Don Terry Poe. They went out and got Everson Griffin. We got players that we hadn't went out there and did before.
Even though they
didn't work out. Alden Smith, even though they didn't work out, they were being aggressive like we haven't seen. And also to the point of when they didn't work out, they got rid of them. So we hadn't really seen that either. And they were moving people around.
I gotta hit a button for you, bro.
Dracarys.
You were cooking. Keep cooking, please.
Hey, that's just what I feel. Ever since since Mike McCarthy's came here, they've been more aggressive all the way around.
God, dog. Oh, Lord.
No doubt.
Law.
No doubt. And to respond to all of you guys, this is a copycat league. Last year, we was a little conservative, although you did say that we were aggressive, but we were aggressive in a conservative way last year. We lost Amari Cooper. We lost Cedric Wilson, and our replacement button was, y'all say it with me, James Washington. So they got a chance to see what the Eagles did last season. They went and got a Hassan Reddick. They made sure that they made some acquisition, dare I say. Was not all the way pleased with my guy, Zach Pascal, for crying out loud. They had an A.J. Brown. They went and got Hassan Reddick, like I said, Kaiser Wright. So now the Cowboys looking at it like, shoot, they went 12-5 last year with a guy by the name of Noah Brown. The number one wide receiver out there was my guy, CeeDee Lamb and Dennis Houston week 1. So, of course, the Cowboys looked at that and said, you know what? Let's not fall into the same traps. Let's go ahead and go get a Brandon Cooks who averaged 1,000 yards a season when the quarterback is healthy, okay? Or even whatever quarterback that you got back there, even me. You can put me in the helmet and pad, and I can throw the ball and get him 1,000 yards. So they said, okay, let's just pump the brakes. Let's go ahead and get Dak Prescott some weapons. On top of that, let's not put a Band-Aid over a bullet wound, right? And re-sign up Anthony Get Down Brown. Let's go and get a Stephon Gilmore, and let's also solidify the interior with a big Jonathan Hankins, reading him up, and as well as going into this draft pool to draft a Mozzie. So this is all aggressive move. This is also seeing that, hey, if your team went 12-5 with those boys last year, let's see what we can really do if we put weapons around, said Dak Prescott. So I want to ask you guys, is this a good situation for us? It's a rhetorical question.
And I will say this, very good, very good. But I will say this. Let me just say this real quick.
Yeah.
Then we go back to RJ, what he was saying in January.
Because
he said a lot of good stuff. I
He
stopped
did.
it right there on purpose, though, because he said some more stuff. We gonna get into that. But did they get their lick back from Amari? Come on now, let's be honest. Because we all know that they dropped the ball on Amari. Letting him go for a fit was,
Oh, hell no!
that was horrible. It was garbage. Trash.
RJ, before you answer that, can you add in the fact that Cedric Wilson, he could have been just as much of a big miss for us because he had 6 touchdowns. He had about 700 yards.
Yeah.
Passer rating when targeted was 122,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he was that missing piece. He was that guy that was the 5th option, moved up to the 3rd option, and didn't look like he skipped a beat. So can you expound on
did
that
they get
about
their
Lee?
lig back, right?
Did they get the lick
'Cause
back?
see,
Well, it's
'cause-
waiting to see now, though.
See, because from this standpoint, hear me out. So we got fleeced, and we fleeced ourselves, right, with Amari. But then we turn around and do stuff we haven't done in a while, where we fleeced teams back. We gave up a fit and got a former defensive player of the year, and like you said, a consistent 1,000-yard receiver converted to a number 2 that's gonna do damage. Did we get our lid back, RJ?
I mean, nothing will ever undo it. You know, like I'll never not be pissed off that they traded Amari. You know, like I will never, like, you know, I don't know that they win, but like they stand a better chance in San Francisco after Pollard's hurt if Amari's there, right? You know,
Right.
I mean, Law mentioned, I mean, again, like that's not a joke. Like the week 1 receivers were CeeDee Lamb, Noah Brown, and Dennis Houston. I mean, you know, that's and they made that bed. And kudos to them. Kudos to Mike McCarthy for, you know, finding a way to win games and obviously in spite of that and obviously in spite of Dak's injury and all sorts of things. Like they've earned their props, they've earned their flowers, whatever saying you want to give them. But what I will give them credit for is atonement, is, you know, learning. I mean, I think that they realized they stepped in it. You know, I don't need them to come out and have a walk of shame and tell us how stupid it was. We're all adults, we can all understand it. But the trading for Cooks, that's why that's my favorite move of the offseason, because that is an admission of like, okay, like we get it. I mean, it didn't even take trading for Cooks. I mean, look, we like 3rd and 30 will be a special moment in all of our minds and memories forever. But the fact that they had to bring in T.Y. Hilton in December was concrete proof that they had messed up, you know, and that they knew that they were flirting with Odell and all that stuff. So I give them their props for, you know, in their own way, publicly apologizing. I'll take Brandon Cooks now. I guess we're even, but yeah, it will always be done.
I guess we're even. Oh man, I definitely feel you on that. All right, so but here we go. Let's keep going because you said a lot of good stuff. Here we go.
And with regards to the future, I don't want to see any dragging of the feet. Get ahead of this. Pay CD. Pay Trevon. While you're at it, pay Tyler Biotish. I mean, you know, he's a Pro Bowler now, and you learned how important he was. He's eligible for a new deal. Like,
wait, the other guy's not paid. So we started with were they aggressive? We all agreed. We all joined hands and we sung Kumbaya together. We did good. It was Kumbaya. Then we get to the main guys, the young guys. What's your thoughts on that, RJ? Because that was one of the aggressives that you was talking about. I want to hear your thoughts on that.
I'm not willing to be mad yet, right? They've you know, they've earned some benefit of the doubt back with what they've done this offseason. It, you know, I think in years past we've looked at them and we've said, well, what are you doing? Like you guys were, you know, laughing about James Washington. It was like, okay, you're saving all this money. Like what, you know, what are you, where are you spending it? You know? And so this year it's really easy to kind of understand where and how they've been busy. And historically, as you guys know, a lot of these things get done when they're in Oxnard for training camp. And so if we get to, you know, the first preseason game and, you know, nothing's happened and we don't have a Dak deal or a CD deal or a Trevon, I mean, put Biotish there, Terrence Steele, Tony Pollard, if you want to give him a long-term deal. If we have nothing, then I think that, you know, at that point we sit a little bit up in our chairs, like the meme, like the guy taking the video game seriously. But right now I'm willing to give them just a little bit more time, just because so much history shows that they like to do this in Oxnard. I mean, the only big time deals they've done in March or April were the Dak and Tank ones. And those are big and important deals, obviously, but plus, they don't have to get the CD deal done this offseason if they really don't want to, right? Like, but if and look, I want to see them pay Trevon, but if they don't want to, okay, then make that decision now at least. What I don't want, and that's why I said drag under the feet. I don't want you to just be nickel and diming Trevon and then get to the offseason where Mike is eligible for an extension, and then you got to use the tag on him. Like, decide now whether you want Trevon Diggs to be a part of your long-term future or not, and stick to that. Have the conviction in that. I would obviously prefer that he sticks around, so I would say he's priority number one. Dak, get that deal done, free up that cap space, and yeah, Terrence Steele, Tyler Biadasz. There's Stephen Jones has a lot to do. He can't be watching Netflix in his dorm room in Oxnard tomorrow.
Oh, hey, real quick too. I'm so glad that you wanted a few. Can we clap it up for RJ? You got a clap button over there.
Yeah.
Let me hit him with mine too. Yeah. We giving him 2 sets of hand claps today. Because he's one of the few that actually brought up Biadasz. Why does nobody really put him in the equation? Like, what in the world did he do to Cowboys Nation? Like, big.
He didn't do nothing to me because I'm just gonna keep it real. Go back and look at my Twitter. I was pumping Biadasz up all last year.
Yeah.
So I was giving stats and facts on Biadasz last year and why people were hating on him, because the main thing they kept on saying was he needs to get bigger and stronger. But even when they said he was quote unquote undersized, if you look at his numbers, he was still still a pretty good center. All right. But here's the thing that I like to bring up if we're talking about the contracts, and I'm going to say this again, and I don't want to say it again. I feel like Trevon Diggs is going to get left out. If you're talking about a guy who is a top flight corner who takes the ball away, he's going to want at least $20 million. We're talking about CeeDee Lamb. He's going to get about $30-35 million. You got 2 guys right there. And then you got Micah Parsons, who's going to set records, right? Then you're talking about Dak. You mentioned Tyler Biadasz. We need Terrence Steele back in the fold. You get what I mean? So these contracts are going to be hard to figure out who's really going to get what, but I don't think everybody gets paid. And it's quiet on the front, and we haven't really heard that. And just to RJ's point where he says usually happens in Oxnard, I'm going to be looking at that because, once again, I heard Clarence Hill say franchise tag for Trevon Diggs. That's what I heard.
He did.
So
he sure did.
I still feel like Diggs is going to get left out. I don't want to believe this, but it's just hard for me to see that $20 million to him, 30-something for CD, more for Dak. I know he's going to open up money, and Micah's going to break the bank.
Yeah.
They're going to have to win some championships or get to a championship to justify in their own hearts, we're paying you guys all this money, but we ain't doing nothing.
Yeah.
It's all about the cap game, and the player that counted more against the cap in the last 3 seasons been my guy Tank Lawrence. I think he counted $25 to $26 million against the cap. He counted more against the cap than even Dak Prescott. So this will be the Cowboys' first time allowing Dak Prescott to count against the cap if he fool around and not get extended. And I think it's a big hit of $59 million. So if the Cowboys really want to play this out smart, they would go ahead and put the money in Dak Prescott's hand and extend the brother, and then you allow you to do the Terrence Steele. It would allow you not to rush the my guy Trevon Diggs deal, as well as you want to be able to make sure that you pay CeeDee Lamb because you got 2 bona fide stars that's about to get paid, and you want to be on the front end of that. And I'm talking about Jamar Chase, and I'm talking about Justin Jefferson. So there's a race, and I want the Cowboys to be proactive. Don't sit back and wait for week 5 and week 6. Go ahead and pay the brother now. I know you gave him the 5th-year option for crying out loud, but it is better to go ahead and get in front of it, kind of, sort of, and I hate to bring him up, but I got to, kind of like the Eagles did with, that's a dog for real in the back. He don't like what I'm about to say. He don't like what the Eagles did for Jalen Hurts. They said, shoot, they had to get in front of the deal before all of those other boys like Lamar and whoever else that was needing to get paid. So the Cowboys better make the proper decision, but it is on trusting. And the Cowboys got to trust once again reign Dakota Prescott with the extension, because he is the guy that's carrying the water. If you pay him, everybody else will be able to drink.
All right, let's go back, because see, RJ had a lot more. Here we go.
This has to be the offseason. Like, you guys ever just crush 3 monsters before like a big final or a big day of work or something like that? Like that has to be what this is. Like there's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to stay. You have to be active. You have to be chasing your tail every single day of this offseason. It's that important.
Facts.
He
That
killed
boy
that.
good.
Yeah, that was good. Now, this is another one that he brought up. I want to definitely bring this one in, because he got real spicy on this in a good way. Shout out to my boy
So, okay. Now that we have seen the staff changes for the Cowboys, and it's going to be a completely different coaching staff for the most part, except for Dan Quinn coming back, what's your overall feeling, even this early on, about what next season could look like based on what we think this offense could look like? Is the offense going to have to be the driving force, or is it, look, Dan Quinn in this defense, you do your thing, and offense, we'll see if you come along for the ride?
I honestly think it will have to return to the offense kind of moving things along. And we all said, over the last year, how unlikely it would be for the Cowboys to kind of maintain their success and maintain the turnovers and things like that on defense. And kudos to them. They were the one team in 100 years that kind of found a way to fight that off. But the reality is regression is coming. Like we can sit here and want and wish it away, but it's data. It's math. It's history. And so it is likely coming for them. And it's not just in the turnovers and the takeaways. It's likely, at some point, Micah Parsons will be just a normal, really good football player as opposed to like a super freakazoid football player. At some point, Jaron Kearse and Trevon Diggs and Leighton Vander Esch having this amazing season. And so this is an offensive league. I mean, there are so few teams that kind of dominate year in and year out because of the defense carrying the way. And it usually isn't enough. I mean, I know that there were extenuating circumstances, but we saw that with San Francisco yesterday. We saw that with Cincinnati. Everybody talked about their kind of underrated defense. At the end of the day, offense reigns king, and the Cowboys need to figure out a way to make sure that is their more powerful side of the ball.
True.
And after the draft, it looked like we doubled down on defense. So what's your thoughts, looking at it in hindsight?
I think, so like, okay, they traded for Brandon Cooks, right? And we can sit here and say like, well, what else could they have done on offense, right? Like, well, they could have also, I guess, now signed DeAndre Hopkins. Like, I think they're banking on regression happening with Dak from an interception standpoint, right? Like, so that makes your offense better. I think they're banking on Michael Gallup being better another year removed from the torn ACL, so that makes your offense better. I think they're banking on Jalen Tolbert being a functional NFL player in year 2, so that makes your offense better. And again, it's cold hard truth, but I think they're banking on that, not having Zeke be a part of it. That makes your offense at least more explosive. Obviously you're going to miss him in some senses. And so I think that they think that they're going to be better on offense for reasons that were out of their control, injuries and all sorts of weird luck that happened in 2022. And so, and there's logic in that, right? Like that makes sense. And it has to be that way. Like, again, I would love it if Micah had 20 sacks this year. I would love it if Trevon had 12 interceptions. I would love it if all those things happened, but it's really, really, really unlikely. Like name the team, any one of you that has had, I guess, San Francisco, an elite defense every year for the last 5 years. It's not one hit wonders, but it's so hard to stay that way. And actually, I'll ask each of you, like even right now, who the team is today. You're in the Super Bowl. Would you rather have Dak down 4 points and he's got to go drive with whoever, or the defense on the field protecting a 4-point lead?
I would want the defense
down
protecting
the
a 4-point lead. If
it's on the 20, you got to go or protect 80 yards. So it's starting on the offense's 20 yard.
I'm betting on that defense this year for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet on defense.
Like
the defense close out. Yeah,
and this is why. Because I trust that Hankins is going to do better. Because we starting the season with Hankins this time versus we picked him up mid-season. Now we got Mozzie. Now we don't have a corner 2 problem that we had last year, especially on the vertical wall. We have 2 good corners now, or 3. all of them, that's ball magnets. Bland is a ball magnet, 6 interceptions. Then you get Gilmore can get hot at any time on getting the ball. Diggs stay hot at getting the ball. We got major depth at safety to where even if we lost Curse, our leader, we got Cox that can step in as a big nickel. On top of that, we got this young bull, Overshawn,
Overshawn, right?
Yeah, yep. Overshawn can step in as the big nickel. Like, and on top of that, this D still young.
Yep. And then you got multiple too. You got Donovan Wilson. He can play down inside the box, who had about 5 or 6 sacks last season as well. And I like the growth aspect of Izzy. If he can take over that free safety role and give my guy Malik Hooker a spell here and there, this defense can be so multiple. Last year, and on top of that, Malik did have 3 INTs last year, and we got the number 1 man-to-man cover corner out of Stephon Gilmore, and we got the 4th-rated zone cover corner out of Trevon Diggs. So I'm starting to look at this recipe of defense, and y'all know me and Big Game James. I don't know about you, boss. Are you like that too? We don't like defense. We love defense. And defense, Big Game. What do defense do, man?
Defense wins championships, baby.
Yes, so that's all we need, man. And I get it. Dak Prescott, we need for him not to be the turnover king and all of that stuff, what happened last year, but just by law of the guys that's here now, that's better than James Washington, Noah Brown, and a hobbled Michael Gallup. Shoot, we are by just on paper, we are better on offense just by that alone. So, yeah, if we can lean on this defense, I think that we can go far deep into the playoffs.
Do you guys
do Super Bowl?
Do you guys remember what Mike McCarthy said about defense winning championships? Because that's one of my favorite quotes that he's ever said. I think it was at the beginning of last season, because we've all heard that, right? Like, defense wins championships. He said that. He's like, defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback. This is his exact quote. Like, that is really sick. Like think about it. Like, we all hate the Eagles, but we can admit that their defense was one of the best, maybe the best in the NFL last year. And, they can whine and complain about the slippery field while making fun of Niners fans for complaining about the NFC title game and all the hypocrisy and whatever. But, I mean, who won that game? The best defense in the NFL or the best quarterback? I mean, so, again, I'm not putting Dak on that level. None of us are. But, I mean, and maybe I'm just a scarred Cowboys fan, right? Like, when do we get to live that life, right? Like, that the defense is just great for 3 years in a row. That doesn't happen to us, so I'm not used to that.
No, that's a very good point.
Where was our defense ranked last year, RJ?
I mean, it depends how you pick whatever metric, but like, they're a top 5 defense, right? Like, we all agree. You know what I mean? Like, however you want to, you want to go DVOA or yards or turnovers, sacks, like they're one of the best defenses in the NFL.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say this. When you said when have we seen that? Maybe not recently, but we did see it with the Seahawks from 2012 to 2016. They had one of the top defenses. That was about a 5-year run they had. I think they had 4 straight years where they were first in opponents' points per game. So you could see that run right there. And we also know that Dan Quinn came from that. So that's what gives me hope of it can happen again, because he's allowed to be able to build it the way he wants. Because if you see how it was built over there in Seattle, Dallas is giving him all the means to be able to build the defense like he wants to. So I think that's what helps it, in my opinion, and that's what gives me more confidence. And plus the fact that he's come back 2 straight times when he could have had head coaching jobs, and he's coming back here to coach defense, which I think it's better for him, where he can just specifically coach on one thing and be great. That's why I can kind of lay my head on his defense. But once again, just like you said, quarterbacks got to make the plays in the Super Bowl. We know that when you get to the playoffs, Dak's got to make plays in the playoffs, right? Yeah. That's what we're talking about right now. Let's keep it real. We all love Dak, but he's not judged by regular season any longer. Let's be honest. Dak is judged by these playoffs now. And he's got to continue to win in these playoffs and take it to another level. Because if he doesn't, no matter how good our defense is, it's going to be a struggle, and we could lose those games. We saw it happen in the San Francisco game. Even though Tony Pollard left and we were like, there it is, our defense kept us in the game, but our offense couldn't really do it. So I can agree with that point.
And RJ, I do believe to a degree that the offensive side of the ball was kind of let down just a little bit. I think we still got time, but I think it was let down just a little bit because I felt like we could have really attacked that left guard to really not have any doubts about it. Right now, let's be honest, it's doubts. It's gonna work out likely though, because they have a lot of depth. And I do believe in Will McClay in our front office on talent, but on offense, you do have a point. I want you to elaborate on that. Then I want to show you something real quick. Go ahead.
I would just say, I mean, you're right? Like if we sat here and said, what's our biggest concern, and we went around, I think right now, 3 weeks away from camp, we'd all say maybe not left guard, but like, what's the line going to look like? Or are they serious about Terrence Steele or Josh Ball at left guard? Or are they serious about wanting Tyler to play left tackle all the time? Are they going to play Tyron at right tackle? Wherever they're going to play Tyron, what's the plan for whenever he gets hurt, right? Like there's like 14 questions under each question along the offensive line. And that's, I would not rather not have Tyron on the team, but his presence, as great as it is, it does come with this side of things. You do have to, he is a ticking time bomb. Dak Prescott is the longest tenured starting quarterback in the NFL, right? Like that's this offseason. He has never played a season with Tyron, like an entire season. Tyron has never played a whole season for Dak Prescott, which is really crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So you have to assume he's going to get hurt, and when he does, that's going to be one domino that falls. And I think we're all kind of came up a little bit in the age of like the internet or social media, where it was like, oh, it's just Tyron and Ron Leary and Travis and Zach Martin and Doug Free or Lyle there. I mean, and it was just normal, right? Like it was like nobody gets hurt. Everything's perfect. They have the best offensive line in the NFL. This is easy. So now we have to live like the other side.
Another thing,
go ahead. But I was going to say, there's this crazy stat out there. When Tyron is healthy and Dak Prescott is on the field at the same time, Dak Prescott completion percentage is right at 70%. So that's how valuable Tyron Smith is. The thing is that, like you said, we don't get a chance to see that consistency with Tyron. And here's the craziest thing of it all, RJ and everyone that's listening. When Tyron is on the field, it's not like he's sus. It's not like he's playing hard. So it could be a situation in a scenario that we've seen this play out before with the Washington team getting rid of Trent Williams. He goes to the 49ers land and he somehow stays healthy. Now, I'm not saying that Tyron Smith is Trent Williams. I have him better, by the way. You can call it bias, but I just look at it like this. There will be a time that he's going to get hurt, but we got to keep him in the starting front five because I don't foresee anybody beating him out of that position, that spot, unless he get hurt.
All right, real quick too, just want to talk about one more thing too on that offense and get your take on it, because we just obviously talk about the offensive line, but I heard this with Brian Brothers real quick. I want you to check this out and get your take on this real quick, RJ. Here we go.
I'm a big believer in the culture aspect of it. I'm I understand what happened with Zeke. I understand, if Zeke was not making, $16-17 million a year, maybe things would be a lot different for him. Everybody absolutely in that building loves Zeke. Jerry Jones loves Zeke. Everybody loves Zeke. They moved on because of the financial considerations, though. They're in the situations now where, Tony Pollard, we'll see if Tony can carry the entire weight of the running game. That's going to be one of those spots that, maybe if Deuce Vaughn and others, Jones don't step up, we'll see if, in fact, that they go out, Rico Dowdle, those guys, they've got to find somebody to play behind Pollard, because Zeke was a guy, they did a great job splitting carries. I know Zeke didn't have the big yards per carry and all that, but the toughness, the first downs. I remember a play in a game, it was one of the games, it was, where they run the ball 3 straight times with Pollard on the goal line. He doesn't score. What do? They put Zeke in on 4th down, and they they'd sit there and score with Zeke. They have got to figure out who that's going to be. Hunter Lipke, who is this guy going to be? Who's going to be the physical short yards? So this is a position I think that is, if they don't get out of it in the preseason what they envision, this could be where you see them trade some of the surplus with the offensive line, defensive line, secondary, somebody trade to try and get a back that they could pair with Pollard and not make Tony have to carry everything in it. But I think they're going to miss Zeke for that physicality and that ability, that toughness that they need.
So we talked about this on the last final word real quick, RJ, before you talk about that. And I call it the year of medicine. We making a real heavy bet on medicine. Heavy bet. Because I asked everybody on the panel, I said, what was Dak like the year after his ankle? Everybody, he wasn't the same. What was Dez like after his ankle? Wasn't the same. What was Gallup like the year after his ankle? Wasn't the same. But it's like Pollard, he gonna be just what he was. And I see I see something there. I want to get your thoughts.
I mean, I think that they're separate issues, right? Like letting go of Zeke and tagging Pollard and hoping. I mean, you're right? Like if we had to bet, right? If you had to bet your life savings, is he going to be as productive in 2023 as he was in 2022? I think we all probably say probably not, and that's okay, right? Like that's fine. I think they were kind of stuck. I think they probably felt like they had to tag him at the time. They had very few explosive offensive players. They added Brandon Cooks, but that's really the only one they've added. And so they need those guys. I mean, he was finally the straw that stirred the drink. And it's uncomfortable to talk about Zeke and to say that letting him go was the right decision because look, I mean, we all have players, right, that we don't like or we're not fond of or we think are not good, but we don't want any of them to be out of jobs, right? Like that's just
right.
It just sucks that's the way it goes. And so I think we all wish Zeke health, wealth, and happiness, but I think that they're a better football team without him. And now you can certainly argue, and Broadus certainly has forgotten more than I'll ever know about his leadership and the role he plays. I mean, think about it. Like they moved to the star when he was a rookie, right? Like he's been one of the faces of this team for a very, very long time. But the finances of it all, just they had, I think, been surviving we drafted a running back high, we paid a running back, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, we've all held on to something too long, right? Like maybe you've held on to a car that just was barely running, or, you had a pair of shoes that you really liked and, they were falling apart or whatever. I mean, but at a certain point you have to finally let go of everything. And it reached that point with Zeke. The Pollard thing is a different thing. And the reality is if Pollard isn't the same, and you're right about everybody else that you mentioned, well, Zeke's still available, Kareem Hunt's available, Dalvin Cook's available, Melvin Gordon's available, right? Like it's the easiest position in the world to try and replace. And I think that's a lesson they have finally understood.
Gotcha. Yeah, because my concern was the power position, not even Zeke. It's just I don't want them to get stubborn like they did with James Washington, where everybody knew that wasn't going to be a replacement for Amari. Like we lost 6 touchdowns with Amari. We losing 12 with Zeke. It's not even about Zeke himself. It's about not taking for granted the amount of points that is, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I done said this a million times. I'm gonna say the million one about Zeke.
But I ain't even talking about Zeke though.
What?
I was talking about like his main thing was what's gonna be the answer for the loss of Zeke. So like this not even about Zeke.
I mean, my thing is like I said before on our last show. This is all eyes are pointing to Ronald Moore first. He's going to me is the key. Mm-hmm. He has toughness.
You talking about Jones?
Ronald Jones. I'm sorry. He has some toughness. You saw he can split carries, and I think their eyes are on him. If he comes into camp and shows he's got juice and he looks good, they'll feel better about, okay, well, we can feel good about moving on from Zeke. So I feel like he's the key. Then you can filter in the Malik Davises or the Rico Dowdells or the Deuce Vaughns. You can sprinkle them in how you want. But I think all eyes are going to be on Ronald Jones, and if he shows some good bursts, running between the tackles, running hard, that's going to make it an easier transition for them to move on. Because once again, yes, you want to have someone to replace, and no, we don't know if Tony Pollard is going to be fully back. But as I said, a lot of these other guys that got hurt, they tore up their knees, ACLs. That was a broken ankle. I feel like that's a different type of injury to come back from. Even as a running back, you can come back from those type of injuries. Whether I'd be more concerned if he had torn his ACL. I feel like I would be more concerned about something like that if they were saying, oh, he's looking good and he's coming back, because I wouldn't believe that at all, not one minute. Yeah. But I have more faith and more belief in a broken ankle, him being ready for camp. And let's see. So to me, all eyes on Ronald Jones in training camp, and let's see. But one other thing I want to say about this Tyron Smith thing, if he's always getting hurt and he always gets hurt early, why did he have to play in camp? Keep him in training camp at the very minimum. Why does Tyron Smith have to go through camp? He knows it like the back of his hand. Keep him at very minimum reps, doing things for him so he can be healthy going already into game one. If you're coming with that lineup that you're talking about, moving Tyler Smith to guard, we don't need no bumps in the road early. Didn't he have the injury in training camp after he has said he was in the best health of his life?
Yep.
Yeah, the thing is, when you are long in the tooth like that and played football for a long time, and you try to not have these guys to work out and do those drills, because
you can do some minor stuff, but you ain't got to be doing the you don't have to do the 7-on-7. You don't have to.
I know, but the issue when he got hurt, it was a soft tissue issue. It was a non-contact thing, and the meat fell from the bone. So it's one of those things. It was a team drill. Yeah, so non-contact.
Yep.
So
it happened on team drill.
Yeah. So to respond on the medicine, boss.
Yeah.
I'm from the deep down in the South, Mississippi, man. And they say that 666 and a half a cup of orange juice, it don't taste good at all. That castor oil and all of that, it don't taste good at all, but it works. It do the damage. So I look at it not like, hey, yeah, we're going to miss the 12 tubs that Elijah Elliott brought to the table, but I'm leaning more on the offensive line scheme, and as well as my guy, Big Mike, because at the end of the day, we were top 10 in rushing last year by chance. We didn't have any philosophy or scheme to our run. We ran out of shotgun, and we still managed to be top 10 in the National Football League. So I look at it like this, man. I think the wave of the new future is these split backs and these multiple sets. Think about this. There were no power back in the Chiefs system. There were no power back in the Eagles system. So I think that we're going to run some of these West Coast principles, and we're going to see more of the three-headed running back attack with Deuce Vaughn, with Hunter Lukey, or with Ronald Jones, and as well as Malik Davis, and of course Tony Pollard being the special spice out there. So I think that the medicine is going to be like that 666 and a half a cup of orange juice.
This is the last one. Check this out.
RJ, what do we make of Trevon Diggs, who obviously not the same type of season as last year, but a little bit of a sour taste in some folks' mouths when you have the Niners, who are a very aggressive team, get out to the outsides, and you saw some possible business decisions made by him. Like, where do you stand on Trevon Diggs as we head towards a potential of extension?
I'm all in. I mean, Trevon has proven to be one of the best corners in the NFL. Define that how you want. Have a problem with his play style all you want. At the end of the day, this is a kind of a pass-fail proposition, much like I'm sure your architecture classes were, Reggie. And Diggs passes for me. I mean, I want him. I want him to be my star starting whatever corner on the team. And so what does that mean if we follow the flow chart? It means you've got to pay him. Okay, so I'm going to pay him. What do I have to pay him? I have to pay him market rate. Get comfortable with those two words, because it's Trevon Diggs' market rate, it's CeeDee Lamb's market rate, it's Tyler Biadasz's market rate. If you redo Dak's deal, it's his market rate. Like this idea, it's the Cowboys and the brand, and they're going to take less. Let it go. That is so silly and so stupid. It is just time to get, with the times and understand that you have to pay these guys. It's a business, and it's a business for them as much as it is for you too.
Wait.
True story.
We got to clap it up.
True story.
Come on, Dad.
Now you got to give him a yoga fire on that one.
I've been getting everything on that one. He said, get used to the term market.
Dracarys.
Hey, RJ. Out of all of the languages in the world, you choose to speak facts, man. Yeah.
I appreciate it, but if I'm being honest with you guys, this was before the $50 million Netflix documentary. So now, now now we got to rethink some things. In all seriousness, though, yeah, I mean, like, look, we can define win or loss however we want. They lost the Dak deal, right? Like they could have paid him. They could have done that a long time ago. They lost that.
Thanks.
They lost the DeMarcus Lawrence deal. They lost the Amari Cooper, whatever you want to call it, by trading him away. So be the pro. Like, look at Tyron. Like, we sit here still. It's been 9 years, and we're like, this deal is amazing. Like, do that. You know what I mean? Like, and you guys mentioned Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase when it comes to CeeDee Lamb. And if they don't do a deal with him this offseason and we get to next year and those dudes get paid, Justin Jefferson can get paid now, actually, by the way. And say Justin gets paid, and then there's going to be a tweet or a thread or whatever now that's going to be like, oh, CD's asking for X, and it's going to be more than Justin Jefferson. And there's going to be people who comment on y'all's channels. They're going to be like, this is so stupid. CD isn't as good as Justin Jefferson. Who cares? Like, that's not the way any of this works. You know what I mean? Like, buy a house, buy a car, put something on Facebook Marketplace. Like, you need to understand the, business 101 of all of this. And so, yeah, you got to beat all these people. You got to beat, players or, in other teams and other representation to the punch on this. And that's why, if they don't walk away from Oxnard with 2 of these deals done, pick 2, Trayvon, CD, Dak, Tyler, Terrence, Pollard, whatever. That will be the first, like, man, y'all really dropped this. I will hand them, because they had all the time in the world. They know what's coming. And beyond all of that, they have been telling us now for 2 off seasons. If you go back to why they traded Amari, why they cut Lyle, why they didn't do the deal with Randy Gregory at the 11th hour, they have said, whoa, but guys, you don't understand. CD's coming up, Trayvon's coming up, Micah's coming up. So if you told, like, fine, we let all that stuff go after we complained about it for a long time, but we've moved on. So it's time to pay somebody. You can't just hold all the money for no reason. It has to go somewhere. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how else to make it crystal clear to them. And I mean what I said about Trayvon. Like, I get it if not you specifically, anybody, but like, if you're saying I don't like Trayvon's play style, he's too aggressive for me, then be committed. Like, you can't dance in and out. Like, you got to pick one side of that. I'm in, but if you are in, you got to pay him now, because what's going to happen if you don't pay Trayvon and we get to the offseason, his brother is going to be able to get out of his deal in Buffalo, and then they're going to get all
play together.
And then it gets really expensive for different reasons. Like, and if you want to live in a world where Stephon is a Cowboy as a part of everything you got, then pay Trayvon now. It's an investment that you figure things out with in the future. You have to be thinking 1, 2, 3 years ahead.
You want answers? You ain't lying. You can't handle the truth.
We hit it at the same time.
Perfect timing. Perfect. Man, that's good guy speech right there.
Yeah.
Because see, that's not talking to the crowd. That's just telling the truth. And some people can't. What's the button?
You can't handle the truth.
And it's like, people need to say that more often. Exactly what you said, and even how you said it. I got so crunk on my
damn act together.
I know.
He went black on us.
I don't went black.
He went black on us.
Man. Come on, man.
But that's, that is extremely costly. And you right. And I think even more so, you right. I think we need to get at least 3 contracts done. Minimum 2. But at least, minimum 2.
And get in front of them, you're right.
And I think Dak should be first.
Yeah.
That gives you more money to do the others.
Right.
And like, if we said, like, who's the best player of the group, it's probably CD, right? But like, who plays the most important position? And people can sit here and interceptions and whatever. Dak is 30 years old in a few weeks. That's so young. That's like, he's a kid. You know what I mean? Like, he's barely starting in the NFL. He's got like 10 years ahead of him if he's smart and they're smart. So this was, again, this is, you should, if you're the Cowboys, you should see this. This would not have had to have been the case. If you had done the Dak deal in 2019, you would not be having to worry about this in 2023. He would not have this baked in leverage. So you're still paying for the sins of the past. Learn that lesson now. and apply it to everybody else around him.
Yes, you got to pay your mortgage first, man. You can't pay your light bill and water
Right.
bill. And that's what the other guys are, unfortunately, right now. Pay your mortgage, Jerry
Pay
Jones.
your mortgage. Pay Dak. Clap it up just one more time. God,
Yeah, one more time for it, man.
Because I don't hear this type of good cooking from most mainstream media people. You just don't hear it. But we got some good cooking going with RJ.
Got some good cooking. Now, don't go run off to ESPN now.
Yeah, don't go to ESPN. You're not going to hear this, what you just heard from ESPN. You're not going to hear somebody tell you till your face the truth. So we going to get into our final words. We'll get into our final words. Real quick, was you out there at the practices, RJ?
No, I don't live in Dallas either. I'm fully remote, just pure internet blogger, threader, tweeter, whatever you want to call it.
You from Houston? You from Houston?
No, I'm from South Texas, but it's just the Astros are my team. I'm a Spurs fan too, so if you're pissed off about that, sorry. You know what I mean? Like, it's just. That's just how
I got
roll.
the best team out here, man. I'm the Lakers guy over here, so you're
you're Lakers, Cowboys. Do you like the Yankees too? Do you like the Yankees too?
No, I can't stand the Yankees, man. Leave me alone, man.
Oh my goodness. Oh man, don't get me started. Well, I say this, before we get to our final words. That's the beautiful thing about football is I keep everything as much as possible about football because I keep my friends. Because as soon as I start talking outside of football, then I find out that people are Lakers.
You feel me? Lakers fans, Yankees fans. Man, I'm like, I'm over it.
Let me stick to the Cowboys so that everybody we can just be friends. So on my final word, I say this. Obviously, it's good to have you, RJ. We appreciate all the work that you do with blogging in the bars greatly. Y'all do great work. Y'all make sure y'all keep up with RJ. And I'm excited about the season. I'm really excited. He's definitely a good follow with blogging in the bars. He is one of the head editors or the head editor with blogging in the bars. So if you're trying to get into the game of writing and sports blogging, you're going to have to eventually go through him. Eventually you go run into him. Just real good follow. I've been following him for years and finally got a chance to do some shows with him. And I've been enjoying and watch your rise and all of that kind of stuff in the Cowboy Nation. So, but appreciate you and can't wait till you come back and we'll talk some more football, but especially appreciate the truth that you was giving, especially then, because you were saying things that's not popular to say. It's a lot of people afraid to say what you were saying, but you came out there and you just said it like it was, and I appreciate that. Go ahead.
I appreciate that. I saw, I think it was like 3 weeks ago, you guys can correct me. I'm sure you guys saw Vok had a great kind of clip about content creation, and I'm such a big fan of you guys and the spaces in the world you've carved for yourselves, and I think it's the coolest thing about how you team up together. My only pushback, I would say, you just were so kind to me right now, but I don't want to be somebody that anybody has to go through. I've made some mistakes in the past, and I've been a jerk, and I've let things get to my head, and I've thought I was awesome, and I was infallible, and and Law was the victim of that, and Law, I love you, and I'm really sorry about that. I thought I could be a gatekeeper. I should be a gatekeeper. And that's a lesson that I've learned, obviously, throughout my career and my time. And I've learned from y'all's humility. And we're living in the Wild West out here. That we're all kind of learning rules as we go along. And so I've made a lot of mistakes, and I'm grateful for other Cowboys content creators, whether they're on YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or Threads or Twitter Spaces or whatever. Like, there's so much, and I think sometimes because of my job and my responsibilities, I get locked onto what I have to do, that I feel like we have to hog it all to ourselves, but there's more than enough to go around, and that's something that I've learned from you guys. You do such a great job of kind of spreading the wealth and spreading the love.
Man,
that's amazing.
See why we rock with RJ, man. See,
that's amazing. Now we really rock with you now, dog.
Yeah. And this is the thing. We are one big family. We may have difference of opinions. We may walk differently in this space, but at the end of the day, we just want the Cowboys to win. And learning about, just how credit works and things like that, especially from Instagram to Twitter to now TikTok to Facebook. The number one game is there's nobody that's bigger than the star. There's no big eyes, there's no little U's. And I always look at it like this: if I can help someone else out, I did my job. There's a lot of people every day reach out to me saying that they want to get in this space, and I say, hey, there's more and more rooms for you. Just start off with a cell phone, and then from a cell phone, elevate to a camera phone or an advanced camera phone, and then to a high definition camera, and just continue to spit your mind, spit your opinion. But keep in mind, there are people, man, that do this for a living, right? And let's not try to stump over anybody's toes. And blogging the boys, man, y'all don't do a good job at all, man. Y'all don't, man. Y'all do a great job. And it's a job that everybody needs to just look in and gain so much information from. You put people on as it relates to their writing ability, as well as the blogging ability, man. That is powerful, man.
Yeah,
and on top of that, there's no other nation like Cowboy Nation. We see a few that try to do what we do, but man, they can't hold a candle. It's like holding a candle to the sun, thinking that you're going to get the same type of heat, but it's not. So I love what we are doing, and I love what you're doing, RJ. So continue to do you and continue to be you as well. So let's go.
You got another one in you, or is that your final word?
Oh man, I got so many in me, man.
Right, cool.
You know what I'm saying?
I just want to be sure, bro.
I'm just warming up. Go ahead, Big Gang.
Go ahead, Big.
All right. Well, my final word is going to be this. Number one, let me give me a huge shout out to my lovely young queens and Natalia Weston, Mackenzie Weston, and Aaliyah Weston, my young stepdaughters. I told them I was going to give them a shout out on the next show. So she jumped in there and she told me, make sure what's up on the shout out. There are your shout outs, young queens out there in them streets. So shout outs to y'all, number one. And then number two, I'm gonna keep it real with you, dog. Like this ain't even no speech or nothing. That's some real stuff. Cause I ain't gonna lie, that whole situation, I came to my dog's defense, and that's what you do. But at the end of the day, we still had you on the show, so we were still in our hearts letting you know that okay, it went down, but it's bigger than that. We're bigger than that, and this is a community thing. Yeah. And it's real that you mentioned gatekeepers, because not a lot of people really know about that kind of stuff, RJ. So the fact that you come out and said some really real stuff, really gatekeeping. Keeping it to yourself, that's real talk, dog, because what you're talking about is other people still doing. I'm gonna go ahead and say it.
Christian of
there's a lot of people still doing it, but the fact that you came out there and to me showed humility. I got
fantastic
just
humility.
A lot more respect. Not saying I never didn't respect you, but I have even more respect for you now as a man. Yeah, and I really appreciate you coming real like that, and I'm always have good things to say about you, and I love how you came with the truth in what you talked about today on the show, and even with Kevin Gray. It just seemed like you came with a lot of truth, bro.
Yeah. Just speak his mind. Speak his mind. Love it.
Salutes to you. Perfect. Big ups to you, and I'm glad you came on today.
Man, me too.
Straight up. That's my final word.
All right,
appreciate y'all. Like I said,
Is this your final word, or you?
I guess. I mean, I don't know the rules. I know I spoke already, so I don't. But
we'll give you another one. Go for it.
I just, I think you guys have had such successes, and I think people, myself included, like we all, like everyone is toxic as it is. We look at our follower counts or subscriber numbers or whatever, and it's easy to kind of feel like you don't stink, right? Like you have a tweet that goes off, or you have a video that does 1 million views, and you suddenly feel like it's yours. And you know what I mean? It's your world, and like everyone's lucky to be living in it. And I think that's how I was living in it at the time. And so I, like I said, I've made a lot of mistakes, and I've learned, and I've hoped I've grown as somebody, and I
I want Blogging the Boys to be a place that you guys talk about it as. And so I want our image and reputation to be that way. But you mentioned it was very Christian. That's an important part of who I am as a person.
I could tell.
And so it's just life. It's learning and it's living and it's experiencing and it's kind of figuring things out as we all go along. And so I think at the end of the day, we can all come to the conclusions that we love each other and that Eagles fans are the true enemy, and we have to band together to fight them.
That's right. Stand together, united.
That's what I'm about. But I say it and I mean it. I am wildly impressed with what you guys do because it's not easy. I don't think your audiences realize it's not easy to do all these graphics and manage these shows and produce them and every week and adjust, and not just the graphics, but the outlines and the silhouettes. And like this crap takes a lot of work. I mean, and that you guys are able to pull it off as seamlessly and as flawlessly as you do, and to connect them, and that you've created, people talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Y'all's, universe is a lot more powerful one in my opinion.
Wait.
Oh yeah, let's go.
He said DC.
Let's go.
Hey, Boss, you hear what he said?
I heard what he said.
DC ain't in the mix.
I wasn't gonna break it out. I gotta break it out now. I wasn't gonna break it out. I'm breaking it out. Should I break it out right now?
No, don't do it right now.
I think I should, man. He said it. I think I should.
Dog. Oh man, you could.
Should I show right now? I think
I haven't seen it, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
We haven't seen it, man. So
Nah, that was too perfect. Listen, God works perfectly. So here we go. I'm gonna show y'all a little glimpse of what's coming. Okay, DC Universe is a real thing.
Uh-oh.
So DC Universe that's where basically all of us come together at different times. Just DC like we doing now, but much bigger. So that's the logo. And see, I'm surprised he said it. I'm surprised
put that on the hat.
Yeah, it's dope, man. I'm excited. We gonna be launching this. So I don't know if I'm supposed to show it, but he said it so perfect. He said y'all like Marvel. I was like, I gotta show it. I got to. It's perfect. You couldn't say it no perfect. So this is the logo again, just to show y'all that it's dope, coming. Man. It's gonna be DC Universe.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's gonna be
y'all
dope.
get ready, man. So it's that's crazy.
That's dope.
That's crazy. He said that. So anyway, so we got plenty of coming. So now you got to give us a final word.
Well,
you low.
No. I will say, so today is July the 5th, and I said this in the month of June, but it's just as true in July. This is the most excited I've ever been about a Cowboys season in the month of July, right? Like I know that's a dumb way to put it. Like nobody wins a Super Bowl in July. But like if we look at July of last year, we were down, right? Like the Amari thing, like we talked about it a lot tonight. It's really difficult to feel like it's going to happen. And look, like it probably won't, right? Like they probably won't win the Super Bowl, right? Like it's a very, very difficult thing to do. But they feel closer than they've ever been. It feels like it's legitimately, realistically, logically probable. They have a head coach who won a Super Bowl calling plays on offense, who's going to be doing that. I mean, and that's my thing. Like, I guess that is my final word. People are so down on Mike McCarthy. I know it's cool to hate on him and crap on him. Right. And look, it might be terrible. Like it might be awful, but if we had gone the whole McCarthy era without ever seeing the coach who called plays and won a Super Bowl doing it, if we had never seen that guy call plays, that would have been stupid, right? Like if Dan Quinn got hired by the Vikings next year and they were like, oh, we don't want you to call defensive plays, that would be so dumb. We would be like, y'all are idiots for hiring him, So at the very, very, very least, we're going to learn. We're going to get that answer, and it might be a bad one, but we're going to get that answer. And if they're finding a new head coach in 2024, so be it. But maybe they win the Super Bowl. Maybe they're just really good. I don't know. But I'm excited that one way or another, that answer is going to be found.
Man. Wow.
Man.
All right, here we go. Law.
Man, that was a slam dunk right there, because when you think of Mike McCarthy, this will be his first year. And I'll say that again, this will be his first year. He's going to have 6 analysts. His analytical team is going to be on point. I think that's going to bring in a new wrinkle to the table. On top of that, he get a chance to bring in his philosophy, his principles with the West Coast, now Texas Coast offense. It's going to go well with what we're doing, especially, I say this all the time, the 2023 team versus the 2022 team. Even on paper right now, I'm taking the 2023 team. I think that we're better in every category, and it's all brought to you by Dan Quinn as well as Big Mike McCarthy. So at the end of the day, when we say these parting words, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, Big Game James, the OC, Boss Cowboy, RJ, man, I really appreciate y'all, man, and y'all know what I'm about to say.
All I ask is when you lay your head on that pillow at night, you know I gave you everything
I gave you everything I had today, man. Come on, man. Let's go, Cowboy Nation. That's my final word, baby. Let's go.
Lay your head on my pillow.
Let's get it. Just relax. Let's go.
Let's go.
3, 2, 1, drop it.
And remember,
you're listening to nothing but the best.
Grill, drop it hard.
Let's go.
It's time to
Yes, indeed. The final word is Mr. RJ Ochoa. Locking in the balls. Let's go.
Yeah, I just wanna run it up. Kinda check or something. Really in the field, let up. Yeah. I've been really in the field, let her rush, I let her feel. Lately, I just wanna run it up.
I do.
Don't need no deals, I make the deal. Half a ticket to a meal. Lately, I just wanna run it up. Yeah. Kinda check a song. Lately, I just wanna run it up. Count that too, count it up. Yeah. Count it up. Lately, I just wanna run it up. Need them ones, I need them fives. Need them tens, I need that change. To the safe, got blues inside. Greens and pinks, it's all the same. I still save and roll my change. Take some losses when I play, charge it to the game. I'm with L, yeah, I'm with T Black, I'm with Reverend now. I'm with Bay, yeah, I'm with Jay, yeah, I'm with Chuck and now. Still the same, not switching sides, now it's about loyalty. You switch sides off for the bag, and that's worth more to me. I mix Nike with designer, I experiment. You just rock what's on the shelf and I'm not feeling it. Search for the one, but baby girl, it's nothing real as this. Can't trust a soul, I keep a hammer, call it too legit. I've been really in the field, let her rush, I let her feel. Lately, I just wanna run it up.